today we are back here again with part 2 of The Truth Rises to the Top. And we have been presenting to you these different cases that have been cluttering the web with attacks that are fake, but up to now it's just my word that they were fake. I have had this evidence that I presented to you in part 1 and I'm going to present to you in part 2. I have had this evidence for quite a while, but I was not allowed to discuss it in my deposition last year when that farce of a trial or pre-trial preparation were going on. And I was not allowed to talk about it on my own because all of my attorneys said, you can't. You cannot discuss the patient. Those are doctor-patient private issues. You cannot discuss it. Never mind the fact that they discussed and made a slander, modified everything and made a way to slander me on the web. That didn't count. I still could not talk about it. That's what they told me. Like I have been misled by attorney. Big surprise. I'm sure I'm not. There are plenty of other people out there that have had the same experience. Unless they were guilty. Because if you're guilty, then they'll defend you to the end of time. Because you pay anything to get off the hook if you're guilty. But if you're innocent, forget it. They don't want you. That's the truth about the legal system. Anyway, so like I advise everybody to do it, you need to do your own research, and that's what I did. I did my own research and found out, oh gee, the HIPAA regulation and privacy between doctor and patient does not apply to naturopathic doctor, alternative practitioner, and does not apply to holistic medicine. It does not apply to anything except a member of the AMA. So that means that I can talk about it. And beside the fact that they've already publicized it big time on the web, of course, only one-sided, and the comment was that they could talk about it, but I can't. I cannot prove that they are wrong. That I cannot do. Yeah, that has been going on all along, and then of course that was the excuse to make that farce of an illegal trial. But if you look at the history of event, the first troll that started covering lasemedinc and myself of unfair accusation, lies, is one Bob Criscuolo, and his wife's name was Paula. She is the patient. He claims she's dead. I don't know. I have no way of verifying that. But I can tell you how the story is not the way he narrates it. So, because I know he was lying, based on the case and what happened, we call him Pinocchio. Because Pinocchio, as you all know, he obviously doesn't, or he pretend not to. Pinocchio means you're a liar, and with more lies you put out, the lot more your nose grows. That's why we did it. And then I changed the last name to Criscuolo to point out his personality. And the Italianized word, American word of crook. Little crook, Criscuolo. Pinocchio, because he's a liar. And he claims that his wife came to us at a treatable stage, and after our therapy, the cancer spread. Now, this is, like they've done before, this is what she felt when she came for treatment. And as you said, you see there, that's her with the information, and she said breast, right breast. Okay. All right. And the next page, let me get the paper clip off. In the next page, she says that if she's taking all this alternative and all of these, and now Q10 no, and B6 no, but vitamin C infusion, artemisinin, and whatever that one is, selenium, okay, all of those are pretty hard on the liver. And vitamin C infusion, large amount, besides being hard on the liver and kidneys, also causes metastasis because it breaks up the tumor. Now, from her, oh, and by the way, look at this. How did she find out about us and came to us? Bill Anderson website. Because at first Bill Anderson was listing us, okay, in his website. Then he found it more lucrative. When he realizes that I was not supporting supplements, which he peddled, big time. When I realized that, then I became a viral, evil creature that had to be attacked. But this was before that happened. Now, he justifies by saying, oh, I didn't know the effects. But actually, what it was, he didn't know. Bill Anderson did not know that I was standing against all the supplements. Because they are hard on your kidney and liver. And you can die just as well, even though your cancer is dead. But one other thing I wanted to point out. See, this discusses her diagnosis, and the date is, where do we find it? Okay, 5508, when she was diagnosed again with breast cancer reoccurring in the same location, which according to this other document, I'll get back to this in a minute. This other document was saying that she was first diagnosed in 2006 and she had a lumpectomy. Then she decided not to have chemo and she went on with alternative treatment. But she had surgery, a lumpectomy only, and in 2006. Then in May 2008, they said, come back, it was in the lymph nodes. What it doesn't say here, but actually that's what she had, it was out of the skin. The breast tumor was out of the skin already. So when Pinocchio says, Bob Criscuolo says, oh, she went to lasemedinc at the stage where her cancer was still treatable by the AMA, you know, standard treatment. No, it wasn't. Out of the skin, with metastasis, and not small, metastasis to the lymph node, that is not considered treatable by standard medicine. They do whatever they can and they say we can extend your life with chemo, which is ridiculous, but that's what they say. But they already indicate that a person is basically dead. They do what they can, but the person is dead. And he's lying on the web by saying this is treatable, and he's lying by saying that she got worse because of our treatment. Now, as I explained before, once you have the tumor out of the skin, we go in and kill it, then the decomposition process is out in the open. And there is no restriction by surrounding healthy tissue, and the tumor can spread. Not a live tumor. The dead tissue spread, decomposes, and is spreading. If it were cancer growing, it will be growing very strong and in height. This thing is spread out laterally. That is dead tissue that does that, just like a cadaver after a few weeks. So that is the sign that anybody in the medical couldn't possibly miss unless they wish to lie. They couldn't possibly miss to recognize the natural dead tissue decomposition. It was theirs. That's why it looked bigger, not growing. Bigger. Because laterally, flat and spreading, appearing to spread because of the decomposition process. But she did not have anything threatening to her life. Now, of course, if you go, and he claims she never had any chemo. I think that after our treatment she did, based on what he says, because he said that she had to wait a certain number of weeks before she was allowed for treatment, and then she came in, and the day she came in, she collapsed. So there is nothing in any kind of treatment that makes you collapse except for chemo. Now, it could be some natural chemo too, like oleander. We'll talk about it with the next case. You could collapse with oleander too. And I don't know because they didn't discuss it with me. But to me, since she had to wait weeks to get treated, and then when she came in for treatment, she collapsed, that could not be oleander. She would have done it at home. So that indicates only one thing. The smoking gun is there about chemo. He's lying about it. He's lying about everything. Her case was already spread to the lymph nodes, and it was already pretty big in the lymph nodes. So when she came to us, and it was already out of the skin, and all of that for the standard treatment ability to treat cancer meant death. They could just make the person they claim extend their life with chemo, which they don't. And of course that creates additional problem to the liver, and that's probably what she died of. Liver, he said that she had liver. See, one of the things I think here, I don't know if I have it, says that her liver was bad. It was in bad shape in May of 2009 when he started writing all these insulting blogs about us. And it was in bad shape. The liver is not damaged by our treatment. So that is all the stuff she took. And her liver was a mess. And of course, whenever you have something after you have been diagnosed with cancer, anything you develop is cancer, is a metastasis. So it was classified as metastasis. Most likely she had a messed up liver by all the junk she took, but all of this is covered up. As you can see, I have a very limited information because they didn't provide me much of anything. But that is what happened with her. The next thing that happened after Criscuolo was, of course, the lawsuit. And he knew, apparently, he knew in his blog about the lawsuit. He blogged and put it there, they are being sued. And he knew about the lawsuit before we even did. We were not served until after his outrageous blog came up on the web, on the lasemedinc.net, which is an abuse of our rights because you cannot use a corporate name, but they got away with it because they had a lawyer behind. He had a lawyer behind him, otherwise he would not be able to do that. A crooked lawyer like most lawyers are, but he had a lawyer behind. And he knew about the lawsuit before we were even served. We had no idea, but he did. How did that happen? See, that's a smoking gun too. Another smoking gun. He was into the system. He was working with them to slander on the web, to make the to slander us on the web, to make the lawsuit, and the argument against us even more significant. That is just a latent slander, that's all it is. But anyway, so I have presented to you the case with the evidence I have. I don't have any more than this because he didn't provide us with much of anything. So that's the best I can do, but I think it's enough to tell you what is really going on. The problem, the addition of, there was a smoking gun of the knowing about the lawsuit before we did. There is, however, another, I don't know if you want to call it gun, you can call it machete if you prefer, bloody machete, I don't know, but there was another one. Because he not only posted that, but then he kept going on and on Bill Anderson's website, attacking us, insulting me, all sorts of ridiculous comments. And one of the many ridiculous comments was that the medical school in Little Rock, which I have proven to you, even discussed during part 1, had been trying to copy us for 20 years and not be very successful about it. Even with the help of my ex, they still couldn't figure out the protocol. They had information they shouldn't have had, but they still could not figure out the protocol. But even so, he mentioned that the medical school had looked into our methodology and decided they didn't want to mess with us because it wasn't worth their time. How did he know that? Where'd that come from? In addition to the fact that doesn't correspond to reality at all, because there are plenty of articles, even in our copycat page, that discuss what the medical school in Little Rock was doing, and those indicate that they were trying to copy us, an absolute copy. In fact, even a radio station in Fort Smith that was aware through a naturopathic doctor about what we were doing asked the question, well, isn't this what the medical school called breakthrough? Isn't this something that lasemedinc has been doing for years? Has been treating patients for years with this treatment? And the medical school did not answer that, but NIH in Pine Bluff, I think it's in Pine Bluff. I don't remember the exact city. But anyway, it's in Arkansas, south of Little Rock. There is a location of the National Institute of Health. And a representative of that location said, no, it's not the same of what lasemedinc does because UAMS uses a different enhancer. They use a different compound. and they are doing toxicity study on that compound, and lasemedinc never did any toxicity study. So this is not the same thing. So if you use a product that is already on the market, but you change the packaging, then it's a different product. It's the same thing. But not only that, what they use needed toxicity study because it's a man-made compound that was never tested. Needed toxicity study. What we use is in nature, has been tested and approved by FDA for maybe 60 years. Okay? About that. Now it's 2012, it's probably about 60 years. It's been approved as non-toxic, totally non-damaging to the human system. So there are no additional toxicity study needed. Okay? Just the use of it is different, but it doesn't change the fact that it's absorbed by human tissue. And that doesn't do any damage. End of the story. But anyway, so the question is, how did Criscuolo know about what the medical school was saying? Had to be part of the system, wrapped up into the conspiracy against us. That is the only explanation. Now the other case that I said also had a lot of slander about us on the web is a case I have a lot more information about, I have a lot more evidence to discuss with you, and a lot more evidence to present. The second, which actually make a fourth, if you can combine with what we did in part one, which those are the main attacks to us. There are some stupid additional comments, but those are for people, and even additional people that are misrepresenting their stand and their story. Some of them are made up, and they are not real patient because of the detail they give you. I can tell they are just fake, but these are the main ones that are crowded in the web. Now the name of the patient, as I said, it's here. But, okay, this is not the person that made the blog because this patient was dead by the time the blog started. His son did, and he was going on the web with the nickname lasemedinc because he didn't want to be identified, and we couldn't figure out why he didn't want to be identified, although we had some suspicion. But as it turned out, it's because before he even brought his father to us, he had posted an alternative website asking information about some natural, quote, remedy, which are nothing more than natural poison, and he was using that for his father. He didn't want people to know what he was doing before he even came to us. And his name is lasemedinc. He uses lasemedinc, but his real name is Ilya Beyzin, and see, his father is Solomon Beyzin. Now, when I fought back about the things he was saying, he had a fit and said that I could not publish anything because it was, you know, the HIPAA rules. So he could tell whatever he wanted about us, but we could not fight back with the truth. That was basically his stand. So when I figured out what was actually going on about the rules and what I could and could not do, and I had to find out that on myself because all the lawyers we dearly paid and never said a word about it. Okay? But how we find the smoking gun on this is rather accidental. This has been on the web all along, we just were not able to find it. We found it recently, and it came up, and that was what was worrying him. On this indiadivine.org, it's something he wrote, comments about his father's situation being desperate and he did not know what to do, and he tells you here all the things. See, Ilya Beyzin here, and all the things he gave his father over here. It says the father had melanoma. He used graviola, oleander, and Temador. All of these things are poison. They all are. They are used for cancer, but they're poison. And you're considering the fact that combined they make it worse. Now, the worst really, they're all bad. But oleander. See, oleander down here. Okay, let me go to the next page. The title on the next page is Deadly. Okay, Oleander is an incredibly poisonous plant and contains numerous toxic compounds, many of which can be deadly to people, of course, more especially young children, but to anybody. Toxins include oleandrin and what is that? Rhine? I don't know. Which affect the heart. And the bark contains another toxic which is similar to strychnine. See? So he was taking strychnine. Okay, and here the poison also, you see, symptoms of oleander poisoning include nausea and vomiting, excessive salivation, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. That's the effect of any poison, okay? But here it says, the poison also affects the heart and central nervous system. It includes the symptoms like drowsiness, seizure, collapse, and coma, followed by death. This is oleander, and he was giving him. And in this article, if you read further, it says even dried oleander is damaging. Fresh is even worse. And also, it says that even if you use the twig, and you use the twig to roast on the campfire, hot dogs or marshmallows, whatever, even that can kill a person. And he was giving it to him in addition to, of course, graviola, and if you read, graviola is pretty bad too, and tramadol. This is the page that discusses tramadol, and this is the page that discusses graviola. You can go through it, and it's scary, especially when you combine them all. But that was not enough. His cancer was getting worse, and it is here that he says, where does it say? This guy that answered him said it can be quite effective, but also can cause problems. But what he's saying is that I don't know, somewhere over here, and I can find it right now, but it says that his cancer was going out of control. Okay, we cannot use Cansima because the area, Cansima, because the area are too large. He had it everywhere, okay? But he's saying that his cancer was getting worse and worse, and it's in this statement, it was getting worse and worse, and it was growing out of control, so he did not know what to do. Then what happened? He found us on the web. He found us on the web, and he brought his father for treatment. Brought his father for treatment, and his cancer was really out of control. It was covering the whole neck, up all the way back here, below the ear, and then it was all in the front chest. It was in the back in different spots. But the worst, massive part was this section of the neck. Now we treated it. He claims that we burned it. We didn't. Our tumor, laser cannot burn anything. But the skin treated with radiation, and he had that therapy twice, years before, it changes the absorption pattern of the skin. So he absorbed more light than other. The good result is it dried up the entire area. And I am going to show you a picture, and some people have freaked about this one because it looks so bad. But there isn't really anything I can do about it because his cancer was that bad. The reason why I want to show you this picture is because it shows only part. It doesn't show the back and doesn't show all of the chest. But it shows you how extensive it was, and it also shows you how dried up, which you can compare to the case of the melanoma of the leg that is on our website. And I'm just warning you, it looks bad, but that's just appearances. This is actually look good to a doctor. Look at this, okay? The melanoma, which is dark, is all over his neck, and you can see part on the front. But look at it. He called it burnt. It's dried up. Melanoma is dark, it's black, and this is all dried up. It's not burned. It looks awful. I know, it was awful to start with. It was so widespread. but we stopped it, and it was drying up. Not only this, I don't know if you can read the date because it's not that clear, but see, it's after the treatment, 1 week after the treatment, October 26th. Okay. November 9. Look at this part. Now, anybody with the trained eye, like they claim, can tell that was not a burn. See all these white spots that are coming over the dried up area? You can identify the different area where the cancer is. It's decomposing, it's dying, it's necrotic tissue, the typical color, opaque white necrosis. It's starting. It's starting 2 weeks after the treatment. It's already starting, and it's pretty visible. It's obvious. Yeah, he was having problem because the face was swelling with all the blood rushing to the area and creating the immune response, but that is just a healing, and with a tumor that big, what can you do? A tumor that big, you can't control the swelling. It happens, but it is a process of healing. And then this was, as I told you, November 9. This is November 17. Look at that. How much, I know it looks bad because he had a bad case. I didn't create this. See how much all the necrosis is spreading. It became more obvious. This was what made the doctor in Arkansas, the medical establishment and their lawyers in Arkansas free. Because maybe not to a patient, but to a physician, this is the obvious sign that the part is healing. There is advanced necrosis and is healing. But you can tell people what happens. It's up to them to understand. And although they claim that they were scientifically oriented and they're knowledgeable and all that nonsense that I get from certain people, they went ahead and have started taking interferon. Interferon? Okay, this is the page that tells you about interferon. And it tells you how dangerous this thing is. It says, are the side effects worth it? And you can read through all of this, how much is bad for you, and all the example of people that are taking interferon. It can kill you. But they decided that they wanted to do interferon, okay? And this is his email dated December 5th, 2008. Okay? A couple of months after the treatment. And he's saying, I want to send you a set of photographs. I was away from home for 1 week and came back yesterday. He has started interferon injection last week. I talked to my family and told them your opinion on interferon. But the majority tried to vote it. Probably was his wife. But anyway. My father's current condition, taking interferon. Okay? Many more new and fast-growing spots on the back. They grew in 1 week. Starting interferon, they started growing. Made the cancer worse. Okay? Many small new bumps on the lower neck, backside, and under the ear. Bumps are under the skin. Some of them have dark spots. Some are normal skin color. Yeah, sometimes the melanoma also grow underneath the skin. You don't see the black spot, but it's there. I'm not sure what they are. Melanoma does that. New enlarged lymph nodes on the collarbone, but on the opposite side, the left. Yeah, because he didn't have any left on the right side, which concerned me. He had a large lymph node on the left side of his face for 2 weeks, and now 2 more appear. They are pretty large, I would say penny-sized. Well, he might have had it before because that tissue was draining through the lymphatic system. But growing like that, that's another story. And a darker skin tends to spread bottom up on his right cheek, and skin not only changing color but becoming bumpy. Pretty bad pain on his right arm. Well, that's because the lymph nodes are clogged with all of that work. but he feels like a muscle-like pain. And that's what it is. It's like a throbbing pain. It might be due to interferon. It might be done due to the all of that, healing process, but messed up with the introduction of interferon that makes a mess of everything, and is not telling what happens at that point once you introduce poison. That is something I warn everybody about. The appetite is normal and the weight is normal, so that means something good is happening to the man. Could you please review this new picture? And the spots on the back are growing really fast. Okay. Now, I try to be patient and I try to be understanding with the big fear of cancer, but this was a patient that had tried everything under the sun for years, and everything only got worse and worse, and the only thing that gave a sign of healing was our treatment, and then he turns around and goes back to the standard chemo. Get real, especially interferon that is so damaging. Interferon is terrible. All drugs are awful, but that is one of the worst. So, Grandpa, I was rather upset. But, get this, I answered him. I tried to stay cool. I answered him. Mr. Beyzin, why exactly are you asking my opinion? So you can overrule me again? I mean, he overruled me, and then he comes back, what's your opinion? Excuse me? Besides, you know as well as I do what is going on and what is happening. He knows it's growing cancer. As usual, the drug has had the opposite result. He had that before, taking drugs and getting worse. So, what was advised? Which, as I said, he has no surprise to me. My belief is that the doctor did it intentionally to cover up our results, but since everything has gone sour, he had, and the side effects showed up faster than expected, so you could see them. But I said, and you also know what to do. You do not need me for me to tell you. You need to immediately stop the interferon. Have your father immediately stop the interferon injection, and he need more leash therapy to stop the growth. But listen what I said, but I'm not going to accept him again as a patient unless I have your assurance that I'll never go back to chemo, ever. The decision is yours. Okay, what he answered to that one was, hello, Dr. Carpenter, I understand that we made a mistake. Okay? We did not realize it was either or. What do you mean you did not realize it was either or? I told you you cannot have chemo before. Well, you have it before, but you cannot have it after our treatment. And he says, now I do. I just came back from my parents. We talked about and all agreed to stop interferon injection and never go back to any other chemotherapy. The disease is progressing really fast with every day. Please help us. Please help us. This goes in answer on me taking, being a fraud and misinforming them. Okay? It says, please help us. We can go with my father any day. Could you tell me when we can come for another treatment? How many days do you think we would need? Okay? And my answer is I couldn't get back with you sooner because we are all overworked. More so than usual at this time of the year. It's December, so. She will, Wendy is trying to fit your father into the next week's schedule. She will call you with sometimes today. That's what he says. Thank you very much. I just confirmed with Wendy we are coming next week for Tuesday appointment. Okay? His decision after our treatment. Well, unfortunately, when he came back, I was in the middle of the fight, an harassment from the state attorney general. Well, actually, the state attorney general had no argument, so I stopped that, but I had the medical board trying to take the license away of our physician, appearing to, which would have meant that I couldn't operate. So we were trying to figure out what to do. And it just was a bad time for our business. He came back, and I treated him 2 days, but I couldn't finish it because we caught our mole doctor in the conference room trying to sell at least whatever he knew about our treatment and our device to a company that manufactures medical equipment. And of course the company that manufactures medical equipment has questions he could not answer before they could even consider putting together the equipment, which they couldn't because it was our patent. But he was trying, and the company told them they needed more details. Still, he tried. In our conference room, so obviously he was fired on Thursday, which was the payday. Because in his contract was said clearly when he signed a contract to come and work with us that he could not divulge any confidential information. He did, cause for dismissal, end of the story. This was Thursday. First thing Friday morning, we get the health department coming and requesting the files of the patient that he had seen, with the excuse really that they were after him, but actually is to interfere with our knowledge. And that was before the day we closed, because we closed that Friday because the only solution we had to move to another state that had different requirement for homeopathic dog. And that's what infuriated them, because we escaped when we did the right thing and told them get lost and went on with something else. That's what infuriated everybody. But they got hold of those files, and they got hold of those people. And guess what? What those files included? Rebecca, Criscuolo, and Beyzin. There were others, but the others knew better and ignored. When contacted, ignored what it was said to them. But those three, they didn't. They created something that caused the death of the patient, but also created trouble so they could make the lawsuit. Though was another person. She had come in 2007, so she was not included in those files, and that's where the smoking gun is on our ex, my ex. And I said our ex because he was in the board of directors, and we had to throw him out for his activity. Corporate saboteur, and trying to embezzle, actually, just trying to embezzle more, but embezzle some money in the company. So, and it's all on the web, although he turns around and accused me of embezzling money of the company, while all I was doing is trying to hide it so he couldn't find the funds and take hold of them. That's all he wanted to do all along. It was always money about it for him. But that's how they got the plaintiff that did the lawsuit, Bogus lawsuit, which I showed in part 1. So they got the files of these people, and that's why they got hold of him. The sad part about it is by putting doubts in their mind that they caused him to die. The point is, as a conclusion, why did I do all of this? I wanted to show what the real story behind all those hate blogs. Nobody's going to discuss it. Nobody's going to present it. I'm the only one. And of course, me standing here and telling you, oh no, like we did some members of the corporation, we don't know these are all lies, is one thing. But being able to prove to you that they are lies is another story. We were not allowed to do that anywhere, but we had to find a way to do it anyway. And because what is the consequence of all these attacks and all of these lies floating on the web? You're saying, well, too bad, it's messing up your business, who cares? No. Yes, it's messing up our business, but what else is he doing? All these cases that are presented to you, given exception for the person that filed the lawsuit, she is alive and well. Now, at the phony trial, they said, oh, she's gonna die because she's now stage 4. Really? She was, and she admitted during the deposition in late January, sometime in January, I don't remember which day, January 2011, she claimed, she said, she had to admit to, during the deposition, that she was fine. She was healthy, doing well, no problem. Now, of course, she had mastectomy, and even with breast reconstruction, that was interfering with her lifestyle, but that's another issue. She thought she was going to get a bundle of money, so she didn't care. Well, said. But anyway, she was really well in January. How the heck did she get to stage 4 in in just a few months at the time of the trial. That's ridiculous. That's an absolute lie. But they got away with it because they were running the trial like in a Bolshevik state. I wasn't there. There was no defense. I was supposed to be in default, but default would not have had all the glitzy attacks by the press. So, and the effect they wanted, to discourage women from coming for breast cancer treatment to our facility. And what did that do? Hurt a lot of people. Their propaganda caused the death of 3 of the 4 people that they were working with. And they had agent provocateur on the web and tried to find more people to have a barrage of lawsuits against us also, although that was not possible because the additional people that died, they couldn't file a lawsuit. It was so obvious that they would have had to present a record, and that would have been obvious, the situation. A lot more obvious, even obvious enough for the lawsuit they had, but those would have been a lot more difficult. So that's why they didn't do, and there were not other people that were ready to attack us. That's why that was a fake process. But what did all of this produced? 3 of the 4 people are dead now. They didn't have to die. Yes, was there a lack of understanding of what we did that affected the events, but the fear factor is always there. The criminal part is the people that lied to them and told them, no, you're not okay. You think you're okay, but you're delusional, you're not okay. So the fake propaganda against us caused these people to die. 3 people, is that all? No, it's not that all. There are others, a lot of other patients that were advanced cancer conditions that were planning to come to see us, and it would have been okay, even though the healing process would have been slow. But it's always slow. It just takes a lot longer the bigger the lesion or the tumor is. But they would have been alive and well. No, they died because of the misinformation. So there is no telling how many deaths have been caused by this. Of course, does the establishment mind? No, they don't, because they're killing people every day with the excuse of saving their life. They poison them to death. So to them is nothing. To me, it's another story, because I know the people that I can save. I cannot save everybody because I cannot handle internal organs, and because I have a limited operation. I just take so many people, but the ones that I can take are lucky that they'll be okay. Like many of the testimonials say, they are going back to work, nothing is wrong with them, and they live a normal life. And that is taken away from people for the sake of stopping what I'm doing, because it's a competition to the big money operation of drug companies. That's what it is. So that means individuals do not matter. Patients do not matter. Even though the health system is created supposedly to help people, the health of people does not matter. It's not an issue. What it matters is how much money the doctors and the drug company can make. And then what happens to you? Oops, too bad. You had cancer after all. It's your fault. And now they're trying to make you believe that it is your fault. There are other things out there for you. Know, you're not eating the right food. Oh, you're not forgiving people that have hurt you, and that causes the cancer to grow. Oh, please, give me a break. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. What causes cancer, in spite of all the alternative on the web, all the different nonsense they tell you? It is caused by mainstream medicine. Drugs. It is caused by drugs. Cancer is caused by drugs. Why? Cancer is not a virus. Cancer is not anything except the fact that the cancer cells are abnormal. Something happens to them, and the signal that tells a cell to grow never goes off. So they are in constant growth. That's how they recognize this cancer in a biopsy. So that's what a cancer cell is. Why this is happening? Well, it's an electronic signal, whichever. But it is chemically produced. It's not mechanically, it's not in any other form produced. It's caused chemically in the body. Well, what do drugs do? They cause a chemical reaction. That's what drugs do. They alter the chemistry to damage something and supposedly cure a person. The drugs affect the electrical functioning of your body, and those are the ones, because the cancer, that the signal is electrical to tell a cell to not stop growing. It is an electrical signal. It's caused by the drugs that alter the chemistry of the body. It's so simple, but no, you couldn't possibly think that, because then people will refuse to take medications offered by their physician. And that's what's happening. All it is for the sake of money, they are killing people, and they're making them entrapped into the system, get mutilated, get poisoned, they get radiated to death. And if you are strong enough to survive all of that, maybe you won't have cancer again. Only maybe, because in many cases it comes back. Radiation causes cancer, so it's no big surprise. And chemo damages the liver, so you could get in the kidney, so you could get kidney liver, you can get liver cancer. So it's all connected, and people don't see that. That's what I am trying to introduce. Please see what your enemy is. Use your brain. Think. I am telling you this so you can live a normal life. And that's why they are trying to stop me. Getting this treatment is not expensive at all. Oh my God, it's so expensive. Really? The person that filed the lawsuit said she was defrauded. She spent $6,200. Have you checked on the web what's the cost of going to Brzezinski, that is supposed to be the hero of alternative treatment? Oh, he's such a great guy. He suffered all these attacks. Do you know what he charges? Check it out on the web. Okay, I found a website that was discussing the British aspect and what this was in British pounds, what they were he was charging for brain cancer using his antineoplastone therapy. 150 to 200,000 pounds. The pounds is 1.69 USD dollars. Okay, that's the amount of money, and people can raise it by getting churches in different group donation grants and other people. I don't know if they have that kind of money. We're talking about major investment and still being not cured. We are talking about a treatment that does not need to be repeated unless you continue the cause. You go on and keep taking the drugs that caused the cancer in the first place. That I cannot account for, but it can come back. But then so what? It's pretty easy and rather inexpensive to treat it again. So I don't see what the problem is, except that it hurts the industry as it is today. That has become, after years and years of effort, research, to find new drugs that maybe can make you live longer, but they're still going to kill you, but you live longer, so you can pay more money to the drug companies. Think, please think, use your brain and think about it. How could it be possible that heat does not kill the cancer cells? Here's the proof, the picture I showed you. It does. And there is proof everywhere. Human tissue gets killed by hyperthermia. The question is, how do we kill just the cancer and not healthy tissue? And that's what we do. And it's pretty easy if you read all the information, unbelievable amount of information on our website. I just wanted to bring up the truth because they wouldn't let me bring it up in the trial, and I gone to the trial. That's why I decided not to. They would not let me bring it up. In fact, they wouldn't let me, even during the deposition, they wouldn't let me talk about the treatment. I was not allowed to discuss the treatment, the validity, why it does work. It was my patent, and I could not talk about it. Okay? All they were talking about is questions about my degree. Nonsense. And the other question was, give us your protocol. I say, give us the detonator, like in Die Hard movie. Give me the detonator, because without it I cannot do anything. And the same is, give us the protocol, because we cannot figure it out. And obviously your hex doesn't know it. And we cannot make it work without that. And then the other thing attacks on a radio program. Unbelievable. So please, think. Use your brain. Don't allow fear to take over your life, and protect your life by thinking. That's all I'm saying. Good day.